Shut up and sit down.
Welcome once again to the Shite podcast show, or I should say, welcome back to the Shite podcast show. Ken, is the first show of 2021.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
Yeah,
2020.
Yeah, 173 episodes of the Shite podcast show recorded, and probably even more because there's a few episodes where we didn't record them, or it just didn't record, and we were basically just talking to microphones unannounced. This happened once or twice during the podcast show, but officially this is our 173 episode, unless ironically if this one wasn't recorded and something happened and then we had to re-record it.
Don't fucking jinx it now.
Yeah, exactly. And 2021 comes back with our own assistant. Hey Google, say hi.
Sure. Hello there.
There, we have a Google assistant to help us with our research.
He actually answered the question he was asked.
It's the first time that fucking retard has actually answered any of our questions. We were playing around with it. I literally just installed it just before it came on air, and it's like, we might as well work out the bugs of this thing while we're on air recording our first show of the year. This makes logical sense.
Moving up in the world.
Yeah, exactly. We were kind of always saying we need an assistant. We need someone to, like, when we say something outlandish or crazy, to verify.
Fact check us.
To fact check to make sure if it is outlandish or crazy or even factually true. So we'll see how we get on today's show. We're definitely probably going to be needing it when we get into the stories that we are going to be talking about. We were talking about. Probably our first one was the Irish government and a printing press. They spent 1.6 million quid on a printing press. Like this is the state of the art printing press that they probably are just going to use to make election posters. And it cost 1.6 million quid in order to get this printing press. We'll be also talking about, that will be our idiots of the week. Surprise, surprise. Then we'll be also talking about Earth getting, like, the days are getting shorter, and it's not because of winter. It's because Earth is spinning faster than it ever has before. And if you're really nerdish, like you want to know how many seconds are actually in a day and all that other thing, we're going to have lots of like day facts about the day and shortness of the day. And the commanders of time, as I'm going to be calling them, I think they're actually called the International Earth Rotation Service, but I like commanders of time. I think is a far better name, and like I say,
that's way better.
That is way cool. It's like, I think US has a space force now, and they're calling it the Guardians. I was like, that is a class name. That is what Space Force name should be. And I think like the Marvel director who did the Guardians of the Galaxy, where that was like outraged by it. And it's like, one, you didn't create the comic. Two, if you're a nerd, that is a deadly name, no matter what. So shut the fuck up.
And didn't they steal their like logo of Star Trek or something?
The first returnable rocket was named after like some Star Trek ship. You know, the one that actually could land. Yeah,
but like they actually took their logo, like the logo of the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, like people who dreamt about space and space voyage were the nerds who created Star Trek. So I imagine the original creator would be like, think it's the coolest thing in the world that they're taking their logos, they're named like the Enterprise or whatever. Like,
or he'd be like, "Hey, buddy, give me my money."
Oh yeah, unless he's indebted and needs a bit of money, and he's like, "Hey, that's my word. I created that word. Give me money."
Yeah, you bastards.
Yeah, but like, I think all people, I should set up a company where people just pay me to name things and come up with ideas. Like we've come to this point. We've set 173 episodes where I think by now people know that I'm an ideas guy. I have a beautiful mind. And I've like innovative ideas, and I can name stuff like that, like the Shite Talk podcast show.
There's like at least one episode, I'd say every every month where you say, I'm an ideas guy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they heard me say it so many times. Like, I have a beautiful mind. I'm an ideas guy. Like, there's going to be like a song made on YouTube where it's just, I'm an ideas guy. I'm an ideas guy. And then there's like a people in the background of it. And then it's just like rave music. And then it has this list of my ideas, me saying my stupid ideas.
It's going to be Christmas #1, 2021.
They should drop people from the sky. I'm an ideas guy. I'm an ideas guy.
We've already got the chorus.
Yeah. A slingshot where they fire people to France. I'm an ideas guy. I'm an ideas guy. A cup made out of biscuit. I'm an ideas guy. Yeah, Guardians of Time. I'm an ideas guy. Yeah, I think so. I'm writing the song.
New team song.
Me and Ben Sender did my team song. We're gonna sit down and like we're gonna work something out. So we'll be talking about that later on in the show.
Oh yeah.
It gets a little bit grimmer as the show goes on. Like the days are getting shorter, and then we're going to be talking about death. Ricky Gervais. Welcome back to the Shite Podcast Show. Happy New Year, death.
Happy New Year. Hope you're not too depressed after Christmas.
If you haven't killed yourself now, we're going to be talking about death because Ricky Gervais wants to be fed to lions when he dies, and I've like mixed feelings about this. Anyway, we'll talk about when it comes up to the show, and then we have our topic piece of today to finish us off is going to be about presents. A lot of people probably got presents. A lot of people gave presents this year. So we're talking about regifting. Is it okay? Can you look for money back from a present, or is it better to sell it? And if you've seen something like that, what you bought for somebody and they had sell it on like Facebook Marketplace or Dundeal or something like that, would you be upset? And we're talking about stuff like that later on in the show. So mixed bag, you might say.
Yeah. And all stories this week brought to you by the Ideas Guy.
The Ideas Guy. Yeah, exactly. So like, do you know the time off probably helped us? You imagine that the time off helped us cultivate. We got so many ideas. Realistically, we just switched our brains off and just pretended that there was a podcast, and then like 7 hours before the podcast started, oh shit, I have a show to put together. And then we're like, welcome back. But we managed to get a jam-packed show. We managed to get stories and ideas. A researcher hopefully will help us out with any fact-checking that may need to happen. Hey Google, won't you help us out with our podcast?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Yeah, that's going to probably happen a lot during the show. This is going to be really bad advertisement, I think, for this Google Assistant. I don't think Google is going to be too happy with using it on our podcast because it isn't very intelligent.
Yeah, Google are going to hate us.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the thing can't have a conversation with you. It can't be like, hey, Google this. And then they'd be like, I don't understand. And then you'd be like, hey, well, what about this? And they're like, it's just a separate question.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Yes, we've got that. From the podcast.
Is there anything that... Ask the fucking thing. Is there anything it understands?
Hey, Google, is there anything you understand?
Oh dear, sorry, I didn't get that. Do you mind asking again?
No, it was a joke. Over it. But yeah, did you make any New Year's resolutions, Ken? Before we get going, did you?
No, I don't do New Year's resolutions because you never fucking like kind of stick to them.
I said I'd start MMA in the new year 7 years ago, and I did. That's the last time I made a New Year's resolution.
How long did you do it for?
MMA.
Yeah.
2 to 4 years. I think I mostly focused on kickboxing for the first part of it, and then I had 2 fights, and then retired from mixed martial arts.
Oh, that's not too bad.
A perfect 1-1 record.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a very short-lived career for myself. I, like you said, had a list already, so I decided I have my 30 of 30, and I haven't even completed that or the list itself. So I probably should stick to just completing stuff off the list.
Yeah, should probably get cracking on that list. Like, how many things? You still probably only have the same amount of stuff on the list, do you?
Yeah. I said I'd learn Irish and then learn Spanish. So that's my new thing. I'm now relearning Irish, and I'm going to learn Spanish after I learn Irish, and I have a year to learn 2 languages.
How's relearning Irish go?
Pretty shit. I don't really have Irish at all, and so I downloaded Duolingo, and I am currently relearning Irish. And if you ask me for a sentence, I probably can't give it to you. But yeah, it's like hopefully at one point in the show, I'd be able to say like, the boy eats a sandwich.
And how long have you been doing it?
Only for like a week.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah. Well, it's like I say a week. It's like a 5-minute. Like you get these like hearts, and they're like lives. And if you get a question wrong, you lose a heart. And I usually just go to the point where I lose all my hearts, and then I give up. So like at the start, it was just like, oh, all my hearts are gone. 2 minutes gone in. That's me done for the day. And then as I got on, it gets a little bit longer. So as you get better at it, your time will increase. So that's the way I'm going to learn it. But like I'm optimistic that I can learn Irish within a year. I should be able to do it. And
Yeah, like realistically, you should be able to learn Irish within a year because you've done like 14 years of studying it anyway.
No. I didn't do it in secondary school.
You didn't do it in secondary school?
No.
Okay, so you did 8 years of studying it.
No, I did 6.
8.
I don't think I did in play school.
Not play school, junior infants and senior infants.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So I did. So you imagine that I would have a bit of a, but I don't. Literally all of it gone. Like I'm kind of like I go, oh yeah, like I know like certain phrases, but like there'll be like it's just like very very little of it.
You'd be like that ad. What was the fucking ad for
Heineken?
Like,
Yeah,
talking Irish, and it just says random Irish words.
yeah, exactly. Like everything is cockамillish. It's like Unganzian cockамillis, unfettered cockамillish. It's like. Yeah, so I think we'll see how we get on, and then Spanish. Like, I said to myself, like every time I go to Spain, I'd learn a Spanish word, and I'd bring it home. I learn. So I remember one year I was in Tenerife. I learned the word 5, and I probably already knew how to say 5. It's cinco. So uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. Say. So I used to be able to go up to 10 in Spanish, but like, and that was my word. And the reason how I learned that was like there was an ad, and they were giving out a number. It was obviously 555 555, because like we were on the beach and we just kept having hearing this ad. So me and my friend were like 555 in like Spanish. So we were going cinco, 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 and then laughing. To Spanish people, that would have been 555 555, and they're like those lads are obviously on hard drugs, like to it. So
you're probably like all the special needs.
Yeah, exactly. Those guys are definitely are under some kind of heavy drug, or are just like autistic. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I haven't tried this handstand, and I have went to the gym and tried heavy squatting, but that's not going great.
No,
I squatted 5 reps of like 80 kilos, but like, come on, I'm nearly 100. I have to get 140.
Yeah, but like you have a whole year to do it.
Well, the gyms are closed down right now in Ireland, so that's not going to help.
Yeah, that's not going to help.
Yeah,
but, like you might have to cancel that one.
Yeah, and then there's the hot air balloon. COVID, probably not going to do that.
You probably won't get that one in either.
Sail a boat drunk, probably never going to do that. If the restrictions lift, might be able to get to Kerry.
You can probably sneak there.
Yeah, break the borders. But yeah, so that's how my list is going. That's the update for people this year. I've learned 2 languages, and yeah, I haven't really even started a series people have recommended me 5 new series. Actually, I have watched probably 2 or 3 series over Christmas. That one's probably nearly done.
There you go.
I can't really remember what the series were.
Okay, so maybe you should add remember what series are into your 30 for 30.
Yeah, I watched one series with, the guys from Hot Fuzz. Are their name?
Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Yeah. So watch a series with them where it's Truth Seekers. So what's that series?
Is that any good?
It's got me through a certain amount of time.
Like it's funny with them guys because Simon Pegg is funny.
Yeah.
And Nick Frost is funny when he's with Simon Pegg.
Yeah.
But Nick Frost on his own is not funny.
Oh yeah, no, he's just like he needs him. I wonder if like he just gives him like ideas, like or just,
and like imagine like it must be fairly shitty to be a comedian that is like I'm not funny unless there's other guys around.
Yeah, well, I think he's more of a I think he follows the role of actor rather than comedian who can play funny roles. I think he's tried to do 1 or 2 serious movies, hasn't he?
Did he?
I think so.
Jesus.
I can't think of it offhand. I also watched Fleabag, which is just like it's just made for girls. Like it is, I watched that going, this is not for me. This is just not. This show is meant. This is like if I was a girl, I'd probably find it humorous. Like she breaks the fourth wall in the series, and she'd be like constantly like talking to the people watching the show, going, "No, I don't really like this guy or like this." This is about her relationships, and then we're a family and all that. And it was like. But I watched it to the end, so that's the series gone. So they're my 2 series, and I think I'll watch another one, but I don't know what it is.
Well, that's something. At least you're getting there.
Yeah, getting there. So
you just need to watch a good series now.
Yeah, exactly. We should probably get on to talking about our show. We're this year starting out being very, very sidetracked, and this story comes from 2019, and it is of the Oireachtas, where basically, if you don't know what the Oireachtas is, they oversee. This is a very loose, general basis. What they do, a lot more things, but they basically oversee the Irish government on spending and other things. And when there's a big hoo-ha or drama, people are brought up to the Oireachtas and they have to explain themselves. So you imagine like these people would have, you'd expect better than this, but they decided that they wanted to buy a printing press, and they might as well go state-of-the-art printing press, because they buy a Comey GL529 printing press, and this is like, you can't get better printing press than this, and it is state-of-the-art. When you print stuff and it dries it in record time and high definition finishes, can't buy any better than this printing press. It costs $808,000 to buy. When it got here, it didn't fit into the building that they wanted to store it in. So, first of all, they had to rent out a place that it would fit in, which cost them $2,000 a month. And they had to lower the floor or else raise the ceiling in order to get the printing press that they paid $800,000 for after that. Now, after they bought it, there was like VAT and other, they had to buy add-ons and all. It cost $1.3 million. By the time they actually were able to fit it into the building, it cost 1.6 million quid in order to have this printing press. They bought it like around November 2019, and that time, like we've all been there. I think we've all been where we're on Amazon or on eBay, and we're just looking at stuff, or we get these Google ads and we click into the website and we buy something really, really outlandish. And when it arrives, you're like, those like 2 a.m. drunken buying sessions that people go on.
Yeah, this kind of sounds to me like, you see it on Facebook the whole time. You know when somebody orders something off Wish?
Yes.
And then it's like fucking too big or too small, or Spinal Tap, where they ordered the backdrop for Stonehenge and it was fucking this big stupid fucking thing.
Yeah, exactly. It arrives to your house and it just doesn't fit in your house, or it's just so unpractical to actually for you to actually have this that it wasn't worth you buying it in the first place. And like that's what I kind of imagine here. Or else there's a guy who works in the Oireachtas who is a super nerd and is just like is being obsessing about this printer and like knows every inch about details about printer. Is a real IT guy and has been like wanting this in Ireland for so many years. The fact that he bought it without looking at the recommended height for a room, and when I got there, they were like, "This is not going to fit in here." So what happened then? They got it work done. It cost 1.6 million, and they're like, "Well, we bought." I remember when this actually happened. They're like, "Well, we bought it now. What else can we do?" It was like, "Well, you could probably return it, or maybe sell it like what everyone else does when they buy useless crap." Yeah. So like even if it costs 1.3 million, like how many leaflets or flyers are you printing each year that you couldn't outsource this job?
I suppose you probably couldn't really outsource it when you think about it. Like whatever, particularly government. If you're a normal business, maybe you could outsource it, but like the government is probably printing some seriously like classified shit.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so they might need a printing press themselves. Fair enough. They probably don't need this printing press because when they got the work done, they got the extension onto their building. They got it fitted. 1.6 million already spent. They had to spend another 195,000 Ken on an air conditioning system for the printer itself.
Yeah, like why? I don't understand these things. Like, why do companies make these things that can't cool themselves?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they kind of, I imagine what they expected. This thing is a high end, high production product that this is going into a building that's a huge, large factory that there's already going to be ventilation in place. They probably didn't expect some government building that this thing would be trying to be shoved into, and that the room had to be built around the printing press rather than it fitting into the room itself. So imagine that generally, if you're using this in a factory, that you don't need like air conditioning system. It's just that probably the room was too small for the printing press, so it was probably overheating. So then they had to once again bring in like 195,000. Nearly 200, pretty much 200,000 euros worth of an air conditioning system. So, like,
did anybody get fired over this?
I don't think so. I'd be highly surprised if anyone actually got fired over it. So now you're like, okay, they spent 195,000 on an air conditioning system. They spent 1.6 million on getting this thing into the building and it being there. Finally, we'll get a bit of use out of this. Nope, that definitely didn't happen either because one, they had to then buy a forklift in order to load the forklift, in order to load the machine because it was far bigger than the one that they've previously been using. So they had to get like I don't know if they had more than likely they had a person who could drive a forklift, and there probably was a forklift, but they couldn't load it manually. So they had to then probably get another forklift and a guy to just load the forklift, load the printer itself. So
like this is kind of like a fucking bad Carry On movie or something.
Yeah, like this. It seems like a skit. It seems like. So then you're like, okay. So they got the forklift. They probably, hopefully, they bought a second hand. Hopefully, they didn't fork out for a state of the art forklift to go with their state of the art printing press that they've already overpaid for by nearly 2 million quid. This is coming up to 2 million quid. Hopefully you cheaped out on the forklift. Maybe they had enough forklifts so they didn't have to do that. But imagine if this thing's going to be in regular use, that forklift, it was already being used for something else. That they don't just have them sitting up. It's still sitting idle.
You could just sell it to somebody now at this stage.
Well, at this stage, you're too far in. You've built the building around this. You paid 195,000 for an air conditioning system, and since November 2019, this thing has been sitting idle because nobody knows how to use it. There's no person in the building that can operate the printing press. They haven't figured it out, and because of COVID-19, there's an expert in England that was meant to fly over in order to do a training with the people who work in the Oireachtas in order to use the printing press, but he can't because of obviously flying restrictions and the company not wanting to send a guy over during the pandemic. And apparently this thing isn't something that you can do a YouTube tutorial on or can't be explained over the phone. So this thing, since 2019 and to this day, and probably for most of this year, if not into next year, this thing will just be sitting idle. And whatever leaflets they are being printing isn't being done on this state-of-the-art printer. They probably, I imagine they fucked out their old printer press. I imagine that they like this one took up so much room that they probably had to sell off the other one. So they probably are outsourcing at this stage their printing needs.
Yeah, I just slapped that fucking thing on done deal and get rid of it.
Buy and sell.
I just fucking get rid of it.
Yeah, Ikomi GL529 unused in mint condition comes with a state-of-the-art air conditioning system.
Yeah, it comes with free building.
Yeah.
Suitable for all your government needs.
Yeah. Also, throw in this forklift. Maybe need to be used in order to load it.
Yeah. Comes with forklift and forklift driver.
Yeah. Paid in Barry's tea and donuts. So it does. Yeah, I remember buying punch dummy because I decided when I was doing mixed martial arts and I was like, I'm gonna do home workouts. I got super obsessed about training and to the point where I was like, I'm gonna do home workouts in between training and I'm gonna use this. And this giant box arrived at the house one day. I hadn't told my parents that I'm buying this thing. I haven't told anyone about it. And I arrived home one day with this giant box, and everyone was like, "What the fuck's in this box?" It came in. Actually, there's two boxes that it came in, and they're like, "What the fuck did you buy?" And I was like, it finally arrived." And then I see it, unwrap it, and they're like, "Is that a sex doll?" And I was like, "No, it's not a sex doll. It's a punching dummy." And then I stuck it in my room. This thing, you have to pour water into it. This one, it sits on a pole, and then there's a basin of water, so it doesn't move around. Except the basin of water does move around, and every time I hit it, it would bounce off the ground from upstairs. So it made such to the point where people were like, "Stop using that in the house, put it in the garden." And I was like, "No, I'm not putting it in the garden." So if I wanted to use it, it just makes such a racket. I didn't spend 1.6 million on it. I got it on sale. I got it on auction. But I think we've all been there where we've bought this outlandish thing and we're just we're trying to justify it. Right? Well, I can use it for this as well. And then you're just it has but this thing hasn't been used. It probably cost about 2 million quid at this stage, and it'll probably be in a museum one day. About this outlandish purchase. They'll be like, here's the printing press that Irish people paid 2 billion quid for and never used.
They'd have to build a fucking museum around it. Fucking
yeah, but because when I was reading this story, I was like, what is this Comey thing? I was like, I'm gonna YouTube what it is. I wanted to see what this thing is, and that's where I got it's a state-of-the-art 5-stage printer that is it's meant to be better for the environment, meant to print in high definition colors and not use toxic paints that would be damaging for staff around it. Fair enough, seems great and all.
Well, it's not good for the environment now. They have to fucking start fucking knocking bits out of the building and rebuilding the fucking thing. And getting some lad in a forklift. Like, a forklift isn't good for the environment.
Well, actually, most forklifts now are electric, Ken.
Yeah, but the chances are they had to get the forklift cheap because they spent all their money. So they probably got a fucking forklift from
Like,
the 70s.
this is coming from the government who spent the most money that ever been spent on a hospital. This is not even the first time these things happen. Like, we've spent what what's the cost of that hospital? It's like, I think it's more than 2 billion quid. I think it was.
Ask the assistant there.
Hey Google, what did the Irish government spend on the new state-of-the-art children's hospital?
On the website irishmirror.ie, they say it is now estimated that the hospital will cost an estimated 2.4 billion euros. Do you want a little more context?
No. 2.4 billion quid on a hospital. Like, in a country that has...
Sorry, I don't understand.
on a country that has only 4 million people, we spent 2.4 billion on a hospital. Like, it's insane. And like, so these kind of things every now and again come along where you realize that there's been like 50 million spent on like someone to clean a car, or like
fucking paper clips.
Yeah, exactly, or paper clips. Yeah, or there's some outlandish spend, and you're like, well, it needed to be done because of this, and it's done now. And they're like, that's their always excuse. They're like, well, it's done now, and there's nothing we can do. And there's like, well, you could probably be fired. Like, you could probably lose your job, like what would happen in any other business, but apparently no. Anyway, we must move on to maybe something a little bit cheerier, or maybe not as much. It depends how much you like daylight. And in the last 50 years, so the Earth is spinning faster, Ken, than it has in the last 50 years. And this is ever since 2020. 2020 is not a great year for your humanity. Like, everything that happened, we found out there's aliens. We've had this deadly disease, and the plague has come back in the US. There's been all sorts of things, and now
the plague never really went away.
Got more prominent.
Just because it hit the US, that's all that is.
Okay. Anyway, there's so many things that happened in 2020, and it's been such a disaster. Now we find out that the Earth is actually spinning faster, and we're losing about 0.5 of a second of a day every day, and which is kind of interesting enough, because this has been the reverse of what has happened since the 1970s. So this has led to the International Earth Rotation Service, or the IERS, instead of Guardians of Time. The Guardians of Time basically are now suggesting that maybe deleting a full second in order to account for the speed of the Earth if this continues. And they've even gave it the nerdy title of a negative leap second, or a deletion of a second in time. They have the power. They have the power to delete time. These Guardians do.
And how would that work?
Well, do you know what? A lot of people don't pay attention to the time other than on their wrist or in their pocket. And since the 1970s, right, there's been 27 leap seconds added because the Earth has been slightly longer than a day. So generally the Earth was slowing down, and they reckon at one point the Earth is just going to stop spinning and it'll die. But that's not for another like trillions of years, so we don't really worry about it just yet. But it's been kind of slowing down. So days are getting slightly longer, but like nanoseconds, like 0.5, like less than 0.5 a second. Like, it's never exact 24 hours. It's in and around 24 hours, and they've added basically 20 leap seconds since the 1970s. So like, it won't be that big of a deal if they delete a second.
But what if it's like your favorite second?
Your favorite second? Yeah, which second are deleting? Are they deleting every day? So I thought it was every day they're going to delete a second. So like in a pub quiz, you'd be like, how many seconds are there in a day? And you'd be like, 23 points, blah, 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 is the exact answer. And you can be real nerdish about that. And they're like, since 2020, the Earth is actually spinning up. And they even told to leave the pub. Yeah, but like,
You've got to leave the book.
if you told get out, no one wants your type in here. But anyway, yeah, since the 1960s, using an academic clock system, there is about 84,000 seconds. And I think in July 2020, July 20th of July 2020, the shortest day they have measured since the 1960s happened. And it was 1,446,002 seconds, million seconds.
That's tremendously short.
Yeah, it's tremendously short. It's 28 times shorter than the previous record. The shortest day previously happened in November. It happened in 2005, and it's 28 times shorter of a day than the previous record.
And I hope they don't delete this second from my birthday.
Well, you know when you go, if you're like counting down New Year's Day, and they're like, "Oh wait, no, we deleted that second. It's already, it's already New
four,
Year's. 3, 2.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, no, wait. We've deleted the second. It's gone past. Yeah, we're gonna actually count down from 9 next year. We're just gonna count 9, 8. We're gonna leave out the 10, or else leave out the 1. If you leave out the 5, people think you just miscounted.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
Which number will you leave out? 5.
Yeah, just leave out a random number.
It's like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 4, 3. Yeah, I'd prefer if they did that. Just pick which number do you want to leave out. People vote on which number they want deleted from time. The 5th second. And
5's a bastard.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently that's going to bring us back in alignment. And so you might think 0.5 of a second is nothing. It's like barely measurable on time. Known like reads time in points of seconds. But why this could be like an impact could be affects satellites, and satellites communicate with whatever signal it bounces off and aligns with the stars, sun, and moon around it. So this actually, they reckon that this could actually, if it keeps spinning up, this actually could throw GPS off and other kind of systems like this, and also your clock would be wrong.
Yeah. Who cares if the fucking thing doesn't match up properly?
Like, once again, like, we've added 27 seconds since the 1970s and nobody has really noticed. Like, this is news that we've added 27 seconds. Imagine if they take a second away, it's still 26 faster than it was back in the 1960s. Yeah. Like, it is like, it doesn't, I don't think it will really matter.
Like, when did they start doing these things as well? Like,
well, the Guardians of Time, 1960s.
Like, what are they trying to realign it back to? Like, the way that fucking time has been since 1960.
Well,
because if we've added seconds since 1960 and they've realised that this shit's been going on, it's been going on for fucking thousands of years.
Well, I think it's the fact that the Earth was slowing down. So since the 1960s, the Earth would be a little bit longer as it spins around. So they reckon that's just like over billions of years, it'll continue to get slowed down. But what started to happen was, since they've started kind of studying it, is now this year it actually has started to speed back up. So they don't know why that is happening. So that's why they're I wouldn't say concerned. Like the only thing this really affects is like nanoseconds, like really in time. Like this won't, like I said, this won't really have too much of effect unless it continues to speed up. And so like this will be a story that will be kind of forgotten about next week. Most people have forgotten about it already. Like, it isn't that huge of a story, but it is just like a change in like time. Literally, this is a change in time where the Earth is now spinning up. So maybe it'll like spin off its axis. Maybe it's just going to go out of control. You know, like, you know those things where you press the button and spins around on your table? If you spin too fast, it goes haywire, flings off your table.
Yeah, so we're going to like shoot off into the universe somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. We're just going to keep spinning up and down. We're just going to lose control of ourselves. Maybe that's going to be 2021 for us.
Maybe.
Maybe the aliens are making the Earth spin up faster. We'll really fuck with their heads by adding a second on for 1 day a year. See if they notice, right? People in the Guardians of the Time are like, what the fuck is happening? And
Yeah,
everyone
what's
else,
going on here?
yeah, exactly. Red lights are flashing, like sirens are going off. Women and children are crying. They're like, what is happening? And the rest of us are like, what? It's 0.5 of a second. So yeah, so that's the story about time. Now our next series subject is like the days are getting shorter. We don't know what's happening, and now we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, just if you weren't depressed though.
yeah, exactly. You can see that I had an absolutely amazing Christmas, and I've come back with all the cheer in life.
Yeah.
This is all brought to you by Ricky Gervais, and Ricky Gervais is like, he's a huge animal activist. And he was on Conan. He's doing a video called With Conan. And they were talking about death. And generally, for the last probably year or so, all of Ricky Gervais' interviews have been around death. And this is because he has a new series out called Afterlife, where it follows this man and it follows his life after his wife dies, and shows like him suffering from all the post depression that people suffer from after they lose a loved one, and it kind of deals with death in kind of a real dark humored way, which Ricky Gervais is known for. So he was talking to Conan about death, and they're kind of saying, how would you like to go out? And it's a kind of interesting enough subject why that you're talking about, like how would you like to die, basically. And he said to Conan that he wants to be fed to the lions, give something back to like basically the animal kingdom after for years of their habitats being destroyed. It'd be like, here, eat one of us, as a way to like kind of give back.
Was he actually being serious?
I imagine no. I imagine he was just kind of taking the piss a bit. They want to be fed to lions. Like a lot of these lions are in sanctuaries protected from like hunters. They're not going to take a dead body and go, here, chop this up and feed it to the lions over there. He kind of said the reason he wants to do it is because amusing to see Thor's face when a fat naked body is thrown out and to the lions. And
that would kind of be funny.
And he goes, oh, there goes the bloke from the office. And so that's why he said, I think he was taking the piss a bit, where realistically people were like, what's the office?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's the guy that does the award shows. That'd be more I think he's known for now. But yeah, so I think he was just like slightly taking the piss. Like, I think one of the things me and Ricky Gervais probably would disagree about most is he's a huge animal activist and all that, and I was like, I'd rather animals just stay away from humans unless we're eating them, unless they're in like between two buns and I'm eating it with like some chips.
Or they're eating us.
No, I don't really want to be eaten by an animal. Unless, like, a person's doing something dumb.
Well, that's usually how people end up getting eaten by animals.
Yeah, well, people get eaten by sharks.
People get bit by sharks.
Well, like, I don't think sharks go, it's a bit human. I think I'll leave it for later on and let it swim off.
Sharks don't actually like the taste of humans. There's a whole, like, scientific reason that sharks bite people. And it's usually because they misidentify us as seals, and then as soon as they bite, they generally don't come back for a second bite because apparently humans taste like shit.
Oh, really? So lions probably like take one bite of us and go, ugh. All the chemicals in this is definitely not good for it. This is definitely not organic. Where's my like zebra? It
just does not taste like it has been grass fed.
Yeah, exactly. This is very fatty. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. It's not lean.
There's too much sugar in this.
Yeah, there's too much sugar. Was that tobacco? Am I over the limit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, maybe you wouldn't. But like, they got on to talking, and they both kind of agreed how they don't want to go out. And is there any way like you do not want to be found when you die?
Found or die? Like anyway you don't want to die, or anyway you don't want to be found.
Let's go with both. Like found.
Like,
Let's go with found first, and then we'll go into ways you don't want to die.
Found I don't really care because like you're dead, so
You don't really, yeah.
it's not gonna bother you.
You probably don't want to be found like in an embarrassing way.
Yeah, but like the chances of you being found in an embarrassing way are very slim.
Yeah, that is true. One way I don't want to die is being eaten by a bear.
Well, the chances of that are also very slim.
They are. I kind of live my life like in a way that I won't be eaten by a bear, because a bear basically holds you down and eats you from the genitals up. Like that is
like,
not a good way to go out.
Unless you're one of those fucking morons that jumps into
Goes on hikes in bear country.
No, it jumps into a bear enclosure in the zoo. Like, chances are that living in Ireland, you're fairly safe from bears.
Fairly safe from being eaten by a bear. Like, if that's the only way you don't want to die, like, there's a pretty good chance of it.
I don't fancy drowning.
Drowning? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not drowning, though?
That would be fairly horrible now.
Imagine it's like being like, other than the panic of, oh, I'm drowning, like you just go to sleep.
Yeah, but it'd be rotten. You know that like feeling of not being able to breathe and
Yeah.
like I don't particularly fancy that now.
Yeah, or dying of hypothermia in the cold.
That'd be fairly shite as well.
Yeah, well, it would be just leading up to like it, because you'd be just freezing. You'd be like, oh, this is awful. My hands are cold, feet are cold, and then you die. Right.
Yeah. That wouldn't be great now.
Yeah. When we are picking kind of like ordinary ways, or maybe not ordinary ways, like, well, stuff that like most people agree with. Ricky Gervais and Conan both agreed that they don't want to die or be found while masturbating in on a closet while hanging themselves.
You see, you'd have to question what the fuck they'd be up to.
Well, he said, well, if I am found like that, I'm not into any of that right now. So it's obviously somebody stitched me up if he is found in a closet while masturbating, hanging.
That's what somebody who would be into that stuff but scared of like accidentally dying while doing it would say.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like I always said, like I wouldn't like to die and then shit myself. Like you don't want to be covered in shit so that you're found. And he's like, oh, what's that smell? And you realize that the person who's dead has just shit himself.
Yeah, I definitely think that happens a lot, though.
Yeah, we were talking about this off air, and you're saying everybody shits himself. So I asked Google, and this is what Google said. Hey, Google, what happens to bodily fluids when you die?
On the website lebrutes.com, they say, as organs decompose, capillaries break open and blood leaks into the body, giving the skin a purple color tone. Bodily fluids eventually begin to weep from every crevice, including the ears and nose, to name a few.
Yeah, so I imagine
that was a different answer to fucking earlier.
Oh, I said I didn't know. That's how I said what happens when you die. Do you shit yourself when you die? And they're like, I don't understand you. But
he didn't go into like fucking veins and
last time. Yeah, exactly. So if it comes out of every crevice, like if you start weeping stuff from your ears, imagine you're going to start weeping stuff from your ass.
Yeah.
So like, imagine if you were caught masturbating in a closet, that while hanging yourself, that you're probably going to be naked, so you won't shit yourself anyway. So that's probably a positive for the hanging while masturbating. Is at least you won't be found shitting yourself.
That's a pro of that then.
Yeah, you'll just be like you shit on the ground while masturbating, while hanging yourself. It'll be two separate things. But I guess if everybody shits himself, then it's just normal.
Yeah, like that's the thing is, you know, like do you ever hear like woman who recently had a baby, like maybe say stuff like, the thing that they don't tell you is that you're going to shit yourself.
While having a kid?
Yeah, they're like, nobody talks about this. Like, you're going to shit yourself when you're having a kid.
It makes sense, though. It has to clear away. Yeah.
And like, that's another thing. Like, nobody talks about the fact that you're going to shit yourself when you die.
Yeah, until now.
Like,
Until now is what we should say. Until now, people don't talk about you shitting yourself until you die. When you die.
yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah, but like it is kind of something that we just don't think about. I think the best way to die, if there is a good way to die, because we're all going to die, is just to die in your sleep. I think most people will agree, die in your sleep is the best way, because then you just never wake up.
Yeah, or something mental.
Or getting smothered in a giant pair of tits. But not
that went 0 to 100 very quick.
but not in the fat girl's ass.
Oh, Jesus.
2 different ways to go out.
2 very different ways to go out. And what if she dies at the same time and she ends up shitting on you?
She had a heart attack.
That's how you died. You like fucking ended up inhaling shit.
Well, they'd be smothered to death. Like, yeah, but that's not a sight that anybody wants to see. Like, 2 people shit themselves. One shit themselves on somebody's face. Yeah, well, that'll teach you for having sex with a girl who has heart conditions and is overweight. That's just a chance you take doing a 69 with a person like that.
Maybe you don't know that she has a heart condition.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think our listeners now should ask if they are, because or at least just don't do the 69, or ask to be on top. Ask to be on top would be my advice to our listeners.
Be the shitter rather than the shitty.
Yeah, exactly. If somebody's going to get shit on, I'd rather be the one doing the shitting, personally. Yeah, this is taking a weird turn. So that's how we got on to talking about death and Ricky Gervais, basically.
Like, that started off. Ricky Gervais wants to be fed to lions when he dies.
And ended
imagine
up
he died smothered in shit.
It's the way the show goes, right? And do you know what? I think we're going to end this on a slightly cheerier note, because I don't think you can get any more grim than a fat girl shitting on you as you die. that is a pretty low bar. So anything after that point, it's going to be a positive. It's not that much of a positive. We're talking about regifting and sending back gifts. So in the UK, £143 million of presents are sent back after people aren't too happy with the presents that they got. So would you be like, if you bought something for somebody and they next of all you see that they put it up on, let's say, Facebook Marketplace, or put it up, or you find out that they put it up on Dundee, or they return it, would you be disappointed?
It would depend what it was and who it was.
Yeah, exactly. If it was something maybe like really you put a lot of effort into it and you thought it would mean a lot to them, and they're like, "No thanks, I'm gonna get it for something else, yoga pants."
Or if they were like sneaky about it.
Yeah, well,
I wouldn't really give a fuck if like you gave something to somebody and they're like, you know what, I don't really like this. I'm gonna like change this for something else. I'm gonna fucking sell it. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I remember being in a shop and I was buying a cake. It was last minute, so we were talking to the baker and we are like, we need this today, blah blah blah. And he was man was the chattiest man in Ireland, and he chatting the whole lot of us. He told us his whole life story to the point where he told his daughter had bought him a birthday present, and instead of giving it to him, had brought it back to the shop for the money in order to buy clothes for herself. So before it was his birthday, and she had bought him a present, but didn't give it to him, and had brought it back to the shop because she wanted to buy some for herself. I was like, oh, your
That's
daughter
like,
sounds like cunt.
yeah, like fucking disown her.
Yeah, like, so I think if someone did that, well, that's not even regifting. That is regifting before you gift.
Yeah,
But
does that even count as regifting?
not really. That's changing your mind that you want to buy a present for somebody.
Yeah, it's just being a cunt.
Yeah, exactly. So I think like in terms of like regifting things, I think if someone was unhappy, I'd prefer for them either to get what it cost or to get something that they want. In terms of selling it, I wouldn't really care too much. Like you said, unless it was like maybe something sentimental and you're like, I like maybe something like that. Like most things, I'd be like, grand. At least you got something you liked, or money back for it. Like it wasn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really care. One thing I hate about present giving and present getting is opening presents in front of people. Like, because like there's this whole pressure on you now to before you even know what it is to go, oh, I love it, or like as soon as your eyes meet the product, you're like, oh my god, this is amazing, it's all what I always wanted. And like I just hate having to open presents. Usually I'm like, oh cool, thanks, I'm gonna open this later and just take it away, because I just like it's just puts so much social pressure on you. I don't know if you feel that way when you are opening a present. Is this just a marketing?
Like if it's something that's absolutely shite.
But you know when you don't know what it is, though.
Yeah.
So you know when they wrap it and you don't know what you got them. So you're like, you're trying to you're gonna open it, and you're like, oh, let me just see what this is. And you're like
if you open it and it's absolute bollocks, and you're going, oh yeah, just what I wanted.
Yeah, exactly. And they're just no, well, it's. Even if I love it, even if I think it's the best thing in the world, like I feel so much under pressure to have a reaction that the reaction just comes across fake. Like as soon as you see it, you're like, "Oh, it's amazing! What is it?"
What is it?
Yeah. So yeah, and I just think it's because like there's been times in my life where I've opened presents and I haven't reacted great to them. Not that I reacted badly. I've been like I was just looking confused at the box. I think there was one time where somebody had got me a present when I was younger, and I wanted to make. They were asking me about the presents I got as well. I think it was around Christmas, and I wanted to make sure that they knew that their present was the best, and that their present was not as good, but their present was the best. So I talked down the present that the other person had got me, except it was their present that they got me, and I was just like, oh,
that's fucking cringy.
Yeah. So it's probably that experience alone is why I have such a fear about opening presents in front of people. Actually,
Mark.
It's not. It was just like one of these things. It was just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's like, can I rewind time?
And did they say it? Did they say, oh?
They pointed it out that was the present that they got for me. Yeah.
I'm assuming it was a family member.
Yeah, it was a family member, but like still.
Did they ever get your present ever again?
Yeah, I think so. Probably like a group present, so it won't be just one person that can be targeted. But yeah, it was just like that.
Because I'd be like, if that happened, if I give somebody in my family, like someone I'm related to, a present, and they were like, like this present's a piece of crap, I'd be like, you know what?
Yeah, it's a different.
Fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's a difference. If they brought it back, and you said, oh, are you using your? Let's say you got like a coffee maker, and you're like, oh no, do you know what? I still don't like that kind of coffee, so I just brought it back. I'm gonna get like a Bluetooth speaker, or I'm gonna get like something else. I'd be like, oh, cool. At least you're getting something you like. I wouldn't be too offended, but if they're like, oh, the coffee maker is a piece of shit, like they're openly talking it down, I'd be like, fuck you, dickhead.
Yeah, you can go and fuck yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I always have ultimate fear opening presents, to the point where I'll say to people, it's like, I don't want to open this in front of you. I'll be like, it's like
That's rude.
I'm going to go into the bathroom and open this, and then I come out and go, okay, I know what it is. I come out and go, oh, that's lovely. This is what I always wanted.
Yeah, I'm going to go into the bathroom, open this, practice my reaction.
Yeah,
and I'll come out and talk to you in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, when's your birthday though, and you're the only person getting presents. It's different from Christmas, where like everyone has presents, and like everyone's around you watching you open your presents, and you're just like, oh yeah, I love this, and oh, I love this, and look at all my cool stuff I got. This is, I think, one of the benefits of COVID-19. You can just wear a face mask, and then your reaction is kind of like disguised behind a face mask.
Like situations like that are actually the worst.
Yeah. So I think that's in terms of actually regifting. I wouldn't really mind. I think it's probably better to do it in private though. Like, if you are returning a gift, unless it's something that the person's going to obviously know that you aren't using. And it's just like then you probably say like, oh, look, it was a thoughtful idea, but you know what, I'm going to get something else. You're also going to have to be very tactful of how you do it, because I think there's some people that would get offended by like if they buy you something, you'd be like, oh, do you know what, I don't like it, I'm going to get something else. They'll be like, well, fuck you. So I think it all depends on who bought it for you as well.
Yeah.
And like, how often do you see that person? And is it a thing that they're going to see you, like, they're going to notice if it's not there? Like, if
it's something that they're going to expect to see every time they come to your house or something, then it's awkward. Yeah,
it's going to be awkward if you return it. Now, you could be just one of those people who are very, very blunt. You're like, I didn't like it. Who cares? But like, I think most people will be like, oh, no, you didn't like it. I'm so sorry.
You bastard.
Yeah, then they'll be talking about you behind your back, 100%. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there. I think we ended on a slightly cheery note. I think if we ended it talking about a fat person smothering you to death while shitting on you, it would be a bad way to end our first show back of the year.
But it would be
a typical
Shite Talk way to end the show.
Yeah, if anything, that's how most of our show should end, with a person shitting on someone else.
Yeah, that's the way everything should end.
Yeah, like it's called the Shite Talk podcast show. We literally had shite in our podcast.
We should make that the aim of the year.
What, to include actual shit in the show?
Yeah, have at least one shit story.
Most people say all your shit stories are very shit. Fuck you if you are that person. Fuck you.
Well, you're still listening.
Yeah, exactly. And we're also back on iTunes as well, which is good.
There you go.
I don't know if the problem was actually solved or not. I tried to solve it. Nothing happened. Did all the thing. Complained about Facebook. Complained about iTunes on Twitter, which normally works. And then I also then tried to email them, see if I could solve the problem. That still didn't work. Looked at my website. Everything was working, and then one day I got a notification. Your podcast has been uploaded to iTunes, or Shite Talk Podcast Show has new episodes. It's like, oh, I don't know what I did.
Yeah, well, at least it worked.
Well, exactly. And I don't know if anybody actually listens now on iTunes. They rarely put out podcasts. But like, if you are listening to this on iTunes, we're on Spotify. Every week we get a Spotify. You'll get one on Spotify. It's there. Everybody has Spotify. No ads. Good Spotify.
Yeah.
And if you use any other one that's consistently uploading podcasts, go there as well. Google Stitcher, if people still use Stitcher. Yeah. It's there usually regular enough. We'll be back next week with another show. I'm not going to say Thursday because sometimes it's Friday. So we're just going back end of the week at some point. That's going to be our New Year's resolution of the Shite Talk Podcast Show. Get a show out
every week.
Every week. At some point.
Yeah,
There.
pretty much.
Yeah. Same Shite Talk, same Shite channel. Make sure you subscribe. Talk to you then.
Good luck.
Shut up and sit down.